Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. This is Al Richards and Lori Warburton with The Other Side of Addiction. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day today, and the world is treating you with a smile, because we all need to smile, make this world a better place. Hey, we've got a real special show for you guys today. Last week, we mentioned that we was going to have somebody come in and share their story about their spouse's sex addiction, and unfortunately her child got sick with COVID, so we were scrambling, and this beautiful lady who I am going to introduce was kind enough to come on our show, which I'm still blown away, to be honest with you, but we would like to introduce you to Brianne Davis. Brianne, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love it. I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That's for sure.
Not that her child is sick. I'm not glad about that. Yeah. Not like that kind of addict where I'm like, yay.
Yeah. Now, didn't you say that your child had the sniffles and stuff too? So.
Yeah, he just started back at daycare this week, and we were like, yay, freedom. Like, we won't have to schedule crazy schedules. And of course, today he got the sniffles and a slight fever, and he's home.
Oh, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, good times as a parent.
Yeah, there's always something.
Yeah. So
Feels like it.
For those of you, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
No,
for those of you out there who don't know Brianne Davis, so you walk the Hollywood fame stuff, right? I mean, you get out there. You've been an actress. You're a director as well, from what I understand, and now you are a #1 bestseller author, which I think is so cool.
That's fabulous.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been a working actor for 20 years. I've been on movies like Jarhead, Synchronicity, Prom Night, to name just a few. I have a movie out right now called The Secret Life of a Celebrity Surrogate on Lifetime. And then on the TV side, I'm on 6 on History. Lucifer, I just was on Hulu, and Casual, True Blood, pretty much any show. I'm just a working actor. I've just been pounding the pavement for 20 years.
So I got to ask you, were you on SEAL 6 as well?
No, our show came out first, and then SEAL Team came out after our show.
Oh, okay. Because for some reason I thought that you were on that. When I saw your picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think she was on that. And when you said
I was on 6.
Oh, on 6. Okay. And on Blue Bloods, you said Blue Bloods, right? Did you say Blue?
I have been, but that was a while ago. I mean, I've literally been on every TV show you could probably imagine. I've been on at one point or another.
Wow. So what got you started into acting? And the reason why I'm asking this is because this beautiful young lady that's sitting next to me, she signed me up with a talent agency. And just called me up one day and said, congratulations, you have an agent. I'm like, what? And so I've been doing like commercials, and as a matter of fact, I was donating plasma today, and one of the guys walked up and he goes, hey, were you on a credit union commercial? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I thought that was you. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But so what got you started in it?
What got me started was growing up, I was very shy. I had ADHD, dyslexia, and I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I loved film and television. I was a latchkey kid. I escaped into film and television, and I also escaped into fantasy and acting out parts. So when I got to be 15, you had to take either drama class or volleyball, and I'm terrible at volleyball. And I was like, I'm not going to go get a bunch of bruises and get the ball thrown at me. And I took a drama class, and I was terrified because I couldn't remember dialogue. But as soon as I step on stage, it just all clicked. It literally brought me out of my shell, and I loved becoming other people. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. And I just, did what you did. I started doing local commercials. I started modeling locally. And then Remember the Titans came to town, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And this was before Atlanta was a big hub. And I got a part. I got a 2-line part on the movie. I worked on it for 3 weeks. I shot night shoots, which is, if you don't know, it's 4 a.m. to like 4 p.m. It's a long day. at night. And I just loved it. I loved everybody coming together and creating this, art, and everybody becomes an instant family. So that's when I decided I wanted to be an actor when I was like around 16 or 17.
Wow, that is really cool because I never ever thought of it. But ever since I've been doing it, I mean, my first experience wasn't a good experience. And I won't say who it was with, but I want to be respectful. But after that, I mean, I've had so much fun. I have met so many people, and I love meeting people, as Lori knows, because that's kind of how we met. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love the same thing. I love how everybody gets together and you just kind of bond as this family. I mean, we've got Facebook groups now of people that I've worked with that we still keep in touch with one another. And when someone gets a job, we're cheering them on and things like that. So is there anything you want to add? I'm the one that's doing all the talking.
No,
so.
this is great.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I'm just happy to be here and learning more about you, Brianne, because excited to have you on here and hear about your story and the people that we can help, get that out there. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, good. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah, I think the whole art community is so uplifting, but on the other side of it, it's like this fine line of you have to be very centered. You have to have, self-love, self-worth, and all that. And with my background, it definitely amplified my addiction, and it, brought things to a head very fast. And that's why I broke my own anonymity, this last year. And I wanted to share my experience because no one talks about my addiction often.
So with the Hollywood life, I mean, I'm not one that reads the tabloids or anything like that, but you hear things, about how life is. I mean, is it really like that? Is that what kind of starts putting you towards that rabbit hole? Is just because of the way the life is and things, or?
Yeah, I think people come to Hollywood. I mean, I came to Hollywood to become someone else. I think as an actor, you like to be other people. And the problem is if you don't know yourself well enough and you're becoming other people, it gets very confusing. And then on top of it, the money, the attention, the fame, the limelight, everybody throwing things, praising you. It's very addicting. And with my addiction, I am a sex and love addict. I've been in recovery for 11 years. I have 11 years of recovery in this program. And we are addicted to people. And a lot of actors in Hollywood, producers, directors are addicted to people. And what that means, if you're an alcoholic, you use a bottle of alcohol. If you're a heroin addict, you use heroin. We use people. So I use people to give me attention, to fill me, to fix me, to be my soulmate, to show up for me. But the problem is that hole inside of us can never be filled by another human being. That can only be filled by myself and God. So it's just, it just amplifies. And a lot of actors are in the program, a lot of A-list actors, but nobody talks about it. We think about sex and love addiction. We think about a man getting caught cheating.
Yeah.
And says he's a sex addict and goes to recovery. We don't talk about the other side, that 6% of the United States are sex and love addicts. And that's a statistic from like 7 years ago. And that 38% of them are women. And I can just tell you on the inside, speaking all over the world, having sponsees all over the world, being an advocate for this addiction, it's 50-50. A lot of women are sex and love addicts and they don't talk about it. A lot of men don't like to say they're love addicts. There's a lot of stigma and shame. And I just wanted to blow open the doors and say, hey, listen, this society amplifies love and sex addiction. Every movie, every film, every song talks about someone being obsessed with somebody. Watch a Dateline. Yeah. Everybody's killing somebody over a love triangle, I spoke in jails in Los Angeles for 2.5 years, the LA County Women's Facility, and every single woman in that jail cell was in there for sex and love addiction. She murdered somebody for her partner. She sold drugs. She was in that cycle because of relationships. And more people lose their sobriety in AA and NA and all the chemical addictions because of relationships. So I just want to bring it out and say, we all have this. A lot of society has this. Let's talk about it and stop adding shame and stigma.
Yeah, and I respect you a lot for doing that, because we've had on one of our shows before that when Lori and I were both sharing our stories, we were talking about the embarrassment. I kept my wife's addiction away from my family and my kids for a long time, and then one day my aunt asked me how she was doing, and I mean, I just broke down and started bawling, because I had been holding it in so much. So with you getting out there, and especially with the word sex addiction, I was telling Brad before we got on that I've not ever really heard of a woman having that, because I go to a men's group where we just kind of go and support one another and different things. And we have a thing, it's kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But
Yeah,
there's
of
been a few people that's talked about, what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And it's always males that I've always heard. So, and you said it's like 35%?
38% are women, and
38.
that statistic was from 7 years ago, and it's like, I'm telling you, on the inside, most of it is women, and it's all walks of life. It's every
Right.
age. I go into my first meeting, and it's over 11 years ago, and there's 30 people, and now my meetings are hundreds of people. They're all over the world. Los Angeles is the biggest community. New York, London, Sydney. I mean, my sponsee just went to a meeting in Bali, like for sex and love
Holy
addiction.
cow.
It's crazy. But yeah, it's 50-50. Women, every walk of life, a A-list celebrity, a social worker, an elementary school teacher, a housewife, have this addiction. And what it is, and I want to explain it really clearly so everybody knows what it is. There's the sex part and the love part. And the love part really leans into going after that unavailable person, staying in bad relationships, flirting, intriguing with people. And intriguing means flirting, but it's amplified. So you give someone your number even though you're not available. You act like you're available to someone so they can fill you, give you that attention. It's, going online, those dating apps, and just swiping left and right, looking for that soulmate. And then on the other side, the sex addiction that most men talk about, not women, is, masturbation, porn, watching too much porn, being addicted to porn, going multiple relationships at one time, which is what I did. I was definitely a cheater and always looking for my next partner. Then we have you going on and one night stands, which wasn't my thing, going on those dating apps, hooking up, going on Ashley Madison. It's all walks of life. And then on the back end of it, which is complicated, it's the sexual anorexia, when you get in a relationship and then your sexuality shuts down, or you decide you want to stop dating and you're single for a very long time. All of those addictions, what really stems underneath is the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being worthy, the fear of love, fear of intimacy, because as sex and love addicts, we have a hard time connecting sex and intimacy and putting those two things together. And that, I have to tell you, I was in for 6 months, and this guy came in and he said, I can quit heroin, but I can't quit her. And that was such a moment for me that it's like, oh, this is no joke. And we have people that have 30 years, 40 years of, time in AA. And they're like, I never wanted to come to this program. Like, I don't want to come to this program. I sponsor somebody that has 35 years in AA, and that's older than me. And they didn't want to come in this program because it is the last stop. They say AA is the last house on the block you ever want to go to.
Yeah.
They say, the saying in the community is SLAW, that's what Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, that's SLAW, we call it SLAW, is the shack in the back, like no one wants to come to. It's like the worst place to go. Which is true. It is very painful withdrawal. It doesn't just deal with love relationships. It deals with friendships, family. It deals with every relationship in your life, and the boundaries and the lack of boundaries, and standing up for yourself and holding yourself accountable and other people accountable. So it really stems to those core issues you develop as a young child. And usually family of origin comes into play, and trauma and all that. But it's a very complicated disease that no woman wants to talk about. And that's why, When I got 10 years in the program, I just decided to write an article for HuffPost because I kept seeing this younger generation come in, and with the social media, the porn that is just desensitizing these young kids. 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds are coming in and they are so disconnected. They are afraid of intimacy. They don't want to commit. They are always looking outside of themselves, shinier, better, bigger, fear of missing out. The disease of more is what I call it. More, give me more, more, more. And it killed me to watch these 19-year-olds struggling. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to come out. I'm not getting caught cheating. I'm not in crisis. Here's someone that's in recovery. And here it is. Like, this is what's going on in the world and no one's talking about it.
You've got to be helping hundreds, if not thousands of people. Because
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason.
Yeah.
I never wanted to come out.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole reason of us starting this podcast. Because, when Lori and I met a couple years ago, we've been talking about this for a while. And of course, COVID kind of put a damper on so many things last year.
Absolutely.
But that was one of the things we wanted to share is our battles, because especially living here in Utah, we had a guest on here a couple of weeks ago from the Kraft Family Support Group. And she's like, when people found out that my son was a heroin addict, no one came knocking on my doors giving us casseroles, But if I had cancer, they would be knocking on the door.
It's the same
It's the same thing, yes. And that's what she said.
It's a disease. That is a chemical dependency disease. Addiction runs in the family. And that's what's so frustrating. It's like, everybody has an ism. That's what I believe. Everybody goes someplace not to feel. And going to heroin or going to bad relationships or going to eat a whole cake when you're not watching Netflix, all of it is the same. We don't want to feel our feelings. But unfortunately, you got to feel feelings. They're meant to be felt. But as addicts, we just want to feel euphoria 24/7. And that's not possible. You guys got to stop me talking, because I will just talk and talk and talk.
I was thinking,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking that when you go through something, or when you're sad inside and you don't want anybody to know that,
right.
I think it's something we do is to live our lives through other people, or make them happy and things like that. I think it's a natural thing to do, because you don't want somebody to look at you on the inside. Because I know when I lost my mom over 11 years ago, when I started losing myself, I mean, I have this unconditional love for people that I've always had. But I think it magnified. I could sense somebody not having a good day. And so I was going to do anything I could to make that better, no matter if, it took every ounce of me to give everything to everyone. And then pretty soon your cup is empty, and so I think what you're saying is related, because I turned to alcohol. And so I am a recovering alcoholic, and so some of the things that you say resonate with me through other people. That's how I would get my happiness,
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because there is a part of the codependency, that we use other people or their feelings when we take on their feelings or their emotions and want to fix them or make them feel better. And that's one of the characteristics of being a sex and love addict. We're enslaved to emotional dependency, romantic intrigue. We avoid feeling vulnerable sometimes. We assign my favorite is this one. We assign magical qualities to others. We idealize and pursue them, and then we blame them for not fulfilling our fantasies and expectations. We sexualize stress, guilt, loneliness, anger, shame, fear, and envy. So it's all these things that other people probably do, but we don't talk about it. Because if somebody is having a bad day, us as sensitive beings, addicts are very sensitive. We feel a lot. I feel a lot. I'll just speak for myself. When I love you, I really love you. It almost hurts sometimes. If I see someone in pain, I take it on, but that's not healthy. It's not healthy to take on other people's pain. It's healthy to have empathy and compassion. But as addicts, we, it becomes everything instead of just, us being of service and then keeping, our emotions or our, health,
You have to
keeping
learn how to give in a healthy
Yeah.
way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we get lost in other people. We get lost in people's drama. We get lost in people's emotions. And it's like, where are you in the world? You're just going around getting filled by other people and what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is some great information.
Mm-hmm.
Brianne, we're gonna stop right now just for a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna just ask you some more questions and have you share where your life is at right now and how things are going for you, if that's okay. So, hey, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We at High Point Coffee are proud to sponsor the Other Side of Addiction podcast. If you've never heard of us, High Point is a warm and inviting little coffee house just on the corner of 7800 South and Redwood Road. Our shop has easy access drive-through, free Wi-Fi, and plenty of comfortable seating, with charging stations good for everything from studying, business meetings, or get-togethers with friends. We opened High Point's doors in November of 2007 and have been happily growing ever since. We love what we do and refer to our customers as family because that's the way you are treated here. We don't believe that anyone should walk away from our coffee house with anything less than a huge smile and a great cup of coffee. We have a full menu of options from hot lattes to top-of-the-line frappes and delicious smoothies. We are a family-oriented establishment with huge selection for kids and any non-coffee drinkers as well. We also have fresh, delicious pastries, homemade breakfast croissants, pretty much anything your heart desires. Come see us at High Point Coffee in West Jordan, on the corner of 7800 South and Redwood. We look forward to meeting you.
This is Gregory, owner of Lift Up Concrete, proudly serving the Wasatch Front for the last 12 years, lifting sunken flatwork for both residential and commercial applications. Only fully trained professionals lifting concrete at your residence with the same quality of material and method used at every commercial job we ever do. Don't replace it, lift it. liftupconcrete.net, 801-792-4535. Contact us at liftupconcrete.net, or if you're looking for a complimentary quote, 801-792-4535. Again, 801-792-4535. Again, this is Gregory, Lift Up Concrete Lifting.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We have Brianne Davis with us. We are very thrilled to have her on the show. So, Brianne, when I was checking out your profile, you have a #1 bestseller book. You want to share that with us and let people know, I mean, what inspired you to write the book? And, I mean, I saw a thing on your Instagram page, which I hope you will share with everybody here a little bit later, but how hard, because you did an audio for it, correct? I can't imagine how, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now, how hard that was for you to do that.
Oh, it was pure torture. Absolutely pure torture. I never imagined. If you could just imagine being in front of sound people reading your book, and your book contains every bad thing you've ever done, thought, gone through, just torture. I wanted to crawl out of my skin like a snake, like out of my body, that 2.5 weeks recording it. It was awful. But now that it's out and I had to listen to it, it's 8.5 hours. And I was like, I'm so proud of it, because I never wanted to write a book. It's called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. I wrote it last year and I never wanted to. I was never going to come out. Like, this was not, I'm service in my community. I'm an old timer. I do service all the time. But what happened, like I said before, is, this younger generation and more people are suffering. Our meetings are getting huge. And I just felt myself like God was telling me, my higher power was telling me, you need to step up. Like, this is not about you anymore. So my husband, who I'm married to, I'm married now, which I never wanted to be married, FYI. We've been together for 16 years. So it's not like it's not like I went through the program and then found the perfect partner to complete me and give me my self-worth. The program is not about that. It's about finding your self-love, finding your dignity back, finding you back. But my husband, he's in the AA community, and he has 32 years and he's in DA for 10 years. So we're the 12-step family. And he came up to me one random day while I was shooting Lucifer. It was so weird. And he said, "Hey, there's this writing course. I think you should take it." And I was like, "What?" Like, totally like not in my universe. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I just feel like you have a story to tell." And I said, are you high right now? Like, I have ADHD. I'm dyslexic. I'm the worst speller known to man, like horrible. And he just kept telling me, he mentioned it 6 times over and over again. I was like, he's finally sat me down and he said, "I don't know what it is. Just take this course. It's 90 days. It's not that much money. Nobody has to know. You can quit after the first or second class." And I started taking the class. I finally said yes. And I wrote the first draft in 45 days.
Oh my
gosh. It was like, it wasn't even me. Like, I don't feel like I wrote the book. It just was something bigger than me. And during it was a memoir. And during the rewrites, it just became this, with my editor, it just became this other thing. It's like these 10 rules that she lives by for the first year of her recovery, all these stories that I forgot I had, dreams I was having, other people's experiences in the program, all just started coming into play. And I just was writing whatever came to me. And I was like, wait, this is not a memoir anymore. This is not just my story. It's other people's story. And so I was like, who is this person I'm writing about? And what happened was I was listening to Pandora, and the song from The Police, Roxanne, came on. Like, "You don't have to put on the red light, Roxanne." And I was, right? We all know that song where we're like, oh. And I was like, Roxanne, that's who it is. And everybody has some Roxanne in them, I say. Everybody has that place they go not to feel their feelings. And, it's a Roma Clef fiction. It's pretty much a memoir, but it's also a self-help. It's a fun book. It entertains. I really wanted to write a book after that you can be entertained, but then at the other side of it, you're getting educated. You're going to understand the disease, because it's the first year of Roxanne's recovery and sex and love addiction while she's working in Hollywood. So you get the background of Hollywood, and everybody's name I changed. So it's like tattoo girl, cool girl, superstar, suits. And here's the beautiful thing that I love to say: I can't get sued, so nobody can sue me.
Smart girl.
Right. People will come after you, man. And the other thing is like, I got to put everything in there, and nobody knows who's my story and not my story. So it just gave me this chance to put every single thing ever that's happened out there, and just to be of service to other people. And the most beautiful moment happened when it was released. Well, first of all, when it was released, I was like, oh my God, did I ruin my career? Am I like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And it just was like 2 hours after it was released, and it hit bestseller, which was insane. I was like, humble yourself. This isn't about you. Like no, the world didn't end. So it was just a beautiful moment. But my mom called me and she said she read the book, and I was like, oh gosh, oh no.
That's what
Because you guys, it gets really graphic. It really goes to the place and the thoughts of an addict. And if an addict says like, oh, I'm not going to do that, and then they do it, it goes through those thoughts of why an addict makes the decision they make. And it really, really breaks it down. But my mom said, for the first time in a decade, I fully understand your addiction and your disease. And it was such like a release. And then she started crying and she said, I've done some of the same things. And I just have to tell you, to have that experience with my mom, especially after everything we've been through, it was just such a beautiful healing moment. And every day now I'm getting dozens of emails and DMs of people saying, oh my God, that helped me. No, I didn't think something was wrong with me. All that, my wife does that. My husband does that. My mom used to do that. My sister does it. Like you can imagine. And that's what it's about for me, is helping one person get out of the cycle of having bad relationships, having drama in their life, looking outside of themselves to complete them, because it is such a dangerous cycle. I've had so many people die from this addiction. I've had people commit suicide. I have a friend in jail right now because of this addiction, and it's just really, it means a lot to me to help somebody else. So that's why I wrote the book. I want to entertain people. I'm an actress. I'm a storyteller. I've directed movies, but I also want to educate that this disease is no joke. It's no joke. So.
Yeah, and that's good for you for doing that, because, any addiction is definitely not a joke. And with some of the stuff that you were saying on the first part of the show, with some of the stuff I've heard at AA meetings, and I've even shared to other people, I'm like, an addiction is an addiction. It doesn't matter what the addiction is, whether it's porn or whether it's gambling or whether it's food, or mine's ice cream. I'm a flippin' ice cream nut. And luckily I've cut me down from 7 days a week to 2 days a week. So I'm trying to stay in shape. But and with what you said about saving, if you can just save one person, because 2 years ago next month, I was on my way home from an event, and I had made the decision I was going to go home and get my gun, go up in our beautiful Wasatch Mountains, and I was going to shoot myself because I could not handle coming home to what I was coming home to every day.
Right. Yeah.
And when Lori and I first met, we were sharing our stories because she went through the same thing. She attempted it. So we here we are on both sides. And when we talked about doing the other side of addiction, that was one thing that we talked about, is if we can help just one person, just one,
Absolutely.
Everything we've gone through was worth all of it.
Completely.
And I've had people get on my social media. I had a good friend of mine who lives in California, and she reached out to me and she heard our first podcast, and she goes, Al, if that was my husband talking about me the way you talked about your wife, I would just cringe. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand it. Luckily, my wife's in a place now where she is very grateful that I'm sharing this. And she was actually on our show last week, which just blew me away. It was such a shock when she put the headphones on and got in front of the microphone. I'm like, holy hell, who the hell is this girl? This isn't her. But just to be able to get it out. Now I lost my train of thought. But
no, that's just it. We all have something. And that's what we're trying to get to the other side of. And that's why we decided to start this podcast and program, And so just like you say, with what you've got going on, it is a beautiful thing to come out. It's so healing. And until you do that, it's hard to heal fully. And I also like that you're a 12-step family, because my thing is, I think no matter who you are, if you went through the 12-step program, even if you didn't have, alcohol or drug addiction, but something else that you're working on, I think if everybody did that, each person, we would all become better people and understand.
Oh, 100%. Can you imagine how the world would be if everybody admitted they were powerless, didn't have control over, had to turn their life over to something bigger than them, to look at their resentments, their side of the street, having their character defects written down where they know if they act like that is because they're being impatient, envious, judgmental, gossipy, all that stuff, and then taking accountability. Making amends, saying I'm sorry, like meditating and praying, every day, and then being of service to other people. Can you imagine how beautiful the world would be?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
hands down, beautiful.
So
beautiful.
different. So, and with you saying that, I remember going to an AA meeting with my wife one time, and a lot of times, people at AA meetings, they get up and they talk. And I remember this guy got up and he goes, "Hi, my name's so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic. And I thank God every day that I became an alcoholic." And I remember putting my head down, looking over my wife and whispering and going, "Who the hell would want to be grateful that they became an alcoholic? This is freaking nuts."
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people in my program, we say, "Hi, I'm Brianne. I'm a grateful sex and love addict." Because there's something about people that have gone to hell and are on the other side of it, that you are grateful for your bottom. I am grateful for the day I almost blew up my life. I am grateful for the day I almost cheated again, started flirting and intriguing on location, shooting a movie. And I had this moment in my mirror in the hotel room. And I'm like, am I going to be doing this the rest of my life? Am I always going to have one foot in a relationship, one foot out? Am I never going to be connected to another soul on this planet? Am I going to die on my deathbed and never be connected? That to me was more tragic. And I'm grateful for that day. I am grateful that I got to learn this lesson, go through the pain of 9 months of withdrawal, crying every day. It took me 9 years to do my 12 steps. I did therapy twice a week for 8 years. I go to more meetings now than I did when I started. I go to 9 meetings a week. It is something, it's my community. I can go in there and say, "Hey, I'm feeling this way." And there's no judgment. Nobody, thinks bad of you. There's no shame. There's no secrets. And when we carry that shame and secrets, when we carry around that feeling of I'm broken, I'm alone, no one's like me, I'm unique, all these things, that is what destroys us. That's what gets us locked, and that's what keeps us like going back to that same pattern over and over again. I mean, my 4th and 5th step took me 2.5 years. I had 176 people on my resentment list. Like, it was brutal. And I did it through the AA program. I did my SLAW program through the AA Big Book with Herb K. And I love the 12-step programs and I believe in them. But listen, it doesn't always work for everybody. Sometimes you just got to do therapy. Sometimes, smaller, different groups, group therapy, whatever works for you. But 12-step has saved my life, has gave me serenity and peace, has gave me a healthy marriage, gave me boundaries with my son, to be able, mommy's not going to use her son to fix her. Like it was done to me, emotional incest, where you fill your parents, if mommy's having a bad day, "Hey, can you give me a hug? Mommy's having a bad day." It is not my son's responsibility to make me feel better. So I get to carry on those to our son. My husband and I get to carry on. Hopefully we stop the addiction in our families right here. It's done. It's not moving on. We are not going to let those behaviors be put on our son.
Good for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's one thing that
I
I told my wife after when that guy shared his story, finished sharing it. He said pretty much almost like what you said. Where he's at in his life right now, he's very, very grateful. And about 13 years ago, I started trying to figure out who I was as a person. Started reading a lot of self-help books. I wanted to be a different person, a better person. And I remember on the way home after that same night, I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? You addicts have a step over us who you call normies.
Normies.
Normies. That's what she says in the alcohol where they call us normies because
normies.
we can have a drink and then not have a drink. But I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys have one up on us. You get it. I've been studying books for years and I'm still trying to figure it out. Now, I think I've got a pretty good handle on it now, but I'm like, you guys get it. That light bulb finally goes off and you're heading down the right path of life where you're supposed to go and how you look at life. Because like you said, you've gone about as low as you can go. I mean, you're going to have to get a shovel if you want to go any lower, right? So, yeah, that
I call that being in the darkness. And when you're in such a dark place and then you finally start becoming healthy and the light starts coming in, you shine brighter. I mean, I can see pictures of myself back when I was in my addiction stages and the darkness, and then now compared to now, you can see the biggest change. And it's just so gratifying and fulfilling to know that you were at that dark place and now you're, into a bright spot. So I'm also grateful for my downfalls, for where I've been in my life and where I'm at now, and still the times I keep learning, too, because
Yeah, you're constantly learning.
you're never done with this.
No,
You know what I mean?
no.
It's just each day there's something more that you bring and that you learn, and I am grateful for my success and my failure, just the same.
Yeah, I mean, once you have an addict mind, I believe you always have an addict mind. We just now have the tools to know how to not go back to our addiction, because the addict self is doing push-ups in the corner. I mean, one of my first sponsor in this program, she, had the God, had the time, and the moment she stopped doing the work and thought she had it, she was back in that unavailable man, him lying to her, wanting to, have a baby with her. And she, lost herself, started living on the streets. She is in jail now. So it's like the addict is waiting. The moment you think you got this is when you should be hitting more meetings, going and praying, meditating, turning everything over. I mean, I turned my entire life over to God in that first year. And I talk about it in the book a lot. If he took away my career, I was like, take it. I need to find my peace. I cannot live like this anymore. And even for my husband and I, we didn't have sex the first year of my sobriety. So it's a lot of work, but it is, like you said, the best thing I've ever done for myself. And no one can take it away from me. My husband can leave me today and I will be okay. My son could leave me and I would be okay. I would be devastated, but anybody can leave me. My money, career, blah, whatever can leave me and I will be okay. And I think that's what sobriety gives you. It gives you that core sense of self that you never had before.
Yep, absolutely.
that strength. So we're gonna cut for a quick break. But one thing I want to share before we go to break, I watched a quick video that you had on your Instagram, and I hurried and stopped it and took a screen selfie of it because it spoke a lot to me, and it said, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. I love that.
Yeah,
I definitely love that. I'm like, yeah, I want to bring that up on the show today because all of us need that. Whether you're an addict or not, every single one of us need that.
You can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
That's 100% right. So, all right, we'll be right back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Hi, this is Tamara K. Anderson, and I want to share something special with you. When our son Nathan was diagnosed with autism, I felt like the life we had expected for him was ripped away, and with it, my own heart shattered as well. It's very common for families to feel anger, pain, confusion, and anxiety when a child is diagnosed. This is where my book, Normal for Me, comes into play. It shares my story of learning to replace my pain with acceptance, peace, joy, and hope. Normal for Me has helped change many lives, and I'd like to give this book to as many families as possible. We've put together something I think is really special. My friends and listeners can order copies of my book at a significantly discounted price, and we will send them to families who have just had a child diagnosed with autism or another special needs diagnosis. We will put your name inside the cover so they will know someone out there loves them and wants to help. I will also sign each copy. You can order as little as one or as many as hundreds to be shared with others. So go to my website, tamarakanderson.com, and visit the store section for more information and to place your order. You can bless the lives of many families by sending them hope, love, and peace. Check it out today at tamarakanderson.com and help me spread hope to the world.
Welcome to the Resilience Talk Network. My name is Jay Walter, and I'm the host of Rebuilding, heard every weekday night from 6 to 7 p.m. You can listen in and learn how to face your fears, overcome obstacles, and make dreams a reality. So listen every weekday night from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Resilience Talk Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Other Side of Addiction with Al Richards and Lori Warburton, your lady in red. Our guest today, Brianne Davis, fantastic lady, and we're so blessed and pleased to have her here. And then also, we have some sponsors, and I'm going to let Al take it away with them.
Yeah, I'm happy to do.
With our sponsors.
You know, without our sponsors, we wouldn't be doing this right now. So a huge, huge thank you to High Point Coffee in West Jordan, right off 7800 South in Redwood. It's like I've said on every show, guys, go in there and order a cup of coffee or a tea or a mocha or whatever it is, a pastry. And I tell you what, if you show your face there one or two times and the girls get your name, they're going to know exactly who you are every time you come in. We also want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Lift Up Concrete out of Kaysville, Utah. Steve and his wife Tosh are incredible people. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Again, Lori and I wouldn't be able to do what we've really wanted to do if it wasn't for you guys. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much. I mean, I could spend
from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah, I could spend another 10 minutes talking about thank you, but yeah, thank you to our sponsors. We greatly appreciate it.
Okay, and so let's introduce Brianne again and let her finish up on her story.
I love it. Let's do it. Brianne, thank you so much for being on our show today. I mean, this was such an inspiration for me and such good information. It taught me a lot, even with my wife's addiction. It taught me even more. And again, it helps me understand, again, knowing that addiction is an addiction is addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. It all reacts the same way and affects people the same way. So before we sign off, how can people find your book? I mean, where is your book? Where can they find it? Where can they get it?
Oh, well, now it's worldwide. We were exclusively at Amazon, but now it's worldwide. You can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict, bookstores, libraries. It's everywhere. And like you said, I just did the Audible. So you can get that on Amazon, everywhere also. But I'm doing a deal right now on my website where you can get the Audible for $15.95. It's called the website Secret Life. It's like secretlifenovel.com. And you can get the paperback there, all the links to my interviews, all the stuff I've been doing right now, talking about the disease. I just wrote an article for Cosmo that just came out. And yeah, and follow me on Instagram or DM me if you have more questions. I try to answer all my DMs at the Brianne Davis or TikTok at Brianne Davis. It's a mouthful, right? Like self-promoting, man.
Well, that's what we're all here to do, is to help one another, because with what we are sharing, again, our number one reason is to get people out there, help people out there. Because there are people who are scared
And
to
they're
open
suffering
up,
in silence.
and they're suffering in silence. And if it wasn't for people like yourself, I mean, we need people like you to continue to throw that message out there. So thank you again so much for being on our show. I mean, we are so blessed and so honored and so grateful to have you, and we wish you the best with everything that's going on in your life right now. So thank you.
I love your delightful spirit, and
thank
it
you.
really made a difference in my day. So I appreciate that too.
Oh, thank you so much. And the last thing I just want to share, if someone is struggling out there, if they have drama in their life, please go online. The first thing I tell people is go online, look at the 40 questions. There's 40 questions of Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. You can type in 40 self-diagnosed questionnaire and it will pop right up. Yes or no questions. And they say if you get 5 or more yeses, you might have this problem, and you are not alone. And if you want to know how many yeses I got, you have to get the book, but it's a shit ton. So hopefully it's okay. It's a bunch. It's a bunch of yeses. So you are not alone. If you do need support, you can DM me, like I said, or get my book, and it will help you break down the addiction and also entertain you. And thank you so much, you guys, for letting me come on. It's been such a delight.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you
greatly
very much.
appreciate it. Wow, Lori, what an incredible interview.
Oh my gosh, it
this
was
was awesome. I'm
fantastic.
still getting goosebumps.
And especially because it was at the last minute as well.
I know.
And so that was
Yeah.
so neat that she was able to come on and do that for us. So
Yeah.
I got chills a few times myself, I think we do that when someone's touching on very sensitive subjects. And I love this show because it's always open and honest communication. And that's one fantastic thing that I believe needs to happen more in life.
I'm with you. And I'm really glad you guys brought up the 12-step program, because, again, just like you and Brianne said, that if every one of us took on that program, this world would be so much better, because maybe we wouldn't take things so doggone personal, because right now, between COVID and politics, man, I mean,
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's good I don't watch the news, because I would probably be depressed as hell.
I stopped watching the news
Yeah,
too
me
a long
too, years
time
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I especially over the last couple of years just quit watching it. But back to the 12-step program, that really can help you in any aspect of your life. And if you're ever starting to feel lost, to anybody out there, I want them to be able to contact us as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what this is all about. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Al or myself. And we also will answer all of our messages.
Yes, we
I always
will.
do. So please don't hesitate, and don't suffer in silence. We need to join in together and help each other out here in this crazy world.
Do you want to let people know how to get a hold of you?
So, you can get a hold of me, Lori. I am Lady in Red, but you can go on my Facebook page and just look up Lori Warburton, and you can get a hold of me right there. That's probably the very easiest way. I do have an email. It's Lori, Lorie, ChevyGirl @AOL.com. You can write me there, anything you'd like, and sometimes you need a lengthier or to take some time to send a message, but my phone number as well is 801-675-0227, and I'll also be glad to take phone calls. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, if anybody's interested in talking with me, you can find me on Facebook as well. Just do the little @ sign or symbol at Mr. Al Richards. That'll take you right to my Facebook, which is AR, The Other Side of Addiction. You can also find me on Instagram, which is how I got a hold of Brianne, is through Instagram, and that as well is Mr. Al Richards. And you guys are going to wonder how the heck this happened, and I really don't even know. But if you'd like to email me too, my email is mralrichards@gmail.com.
It's God at work.
Yes, it is. It is. It's God at work. So, guys, yes, just like Lori said, please reach out to us. I mean, don't keep this held in. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not good for you. And just so you know, and I think maybe Lori already shared this, but whatever comes to us or whatever questions you have, it stays with us. We don't go out. We don't share this. Everything stays with us. You don't have to worry about us going out and starting to tell a bunch of people, oh, guess what? So-and-so just came in and said this and that. No.
It's all personal.
It's all personal. It stays here. Again, our goal here is to help as many people as possible. And we all need help.
Yep.
In one way or another.
I know
I'm serious.
do.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I'm still getting it. I'm still getting help. And as a man, that's been one of the hardest things for me is to ask for help. And thank goodness I finally started doing that, and I am so grateful that I finally figured that out because now ask for directions, no, maybe I'm still struggling on that one. But as far as asking for help with things, yes. So people, please reach out to us.
Yep.
And thank you for an incredible show. Again, we're so grateful to Brianne Davis, again, for your time, your love, your kindness, and your message. That's the number one thing. Thank you so much for sharing your message. And hopefully we'll have a chance to have her on the show again.
Yeah, and one other thing I was thinking about, if anybody knows of someone that would be great coming on our show, or if you yourself have a story that you would like to share, that's what we're all about. Also, if you want to come on our show, and we'd love to have you. So
yeah, and it doesn't matter what the addiction is, right?
No.
I mean, we've talked about at the start of this about drugs and alcohol, but as you heard on this show, addiction is addiction.
Mm-hmm.
We want everybody. I mean,
that's
anybody
why we're
that
all
wants to
trying to get to the other side of it.
Yep.
That's what all this is about.
Yep. And even though I'm on the other side, I'm still trying to get on the other side, if you guys know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Stay tuned next week, everybody, for another great show. And remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything.